The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Delegates from 300 species sat in their designated seats, watching the holographic display at the center of the room. The display showed a star system burning. Ships fought each other in the darkness of space. Planets cracked open like eggs. Millions died every second. This was normal. This had been normal for 700,000 years. Ambassador Kelthrin of the Pavinar Union stood to speak. His blue skin looked gray under the artificial lights. He was tired. They were all tired. Honored members, he said. We gather again to discuss peace between the Zenthari Collective and the Krell Dominion. This is our 10,000th attempt. No one laughed. There was nothing funny about failure. The Zenthari representative floated in its containment sphere. It was made of pure energy, shifting between colors that had no names. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music and thunder at the same time. The Krell attacked our mining colonies. 17 billion Zenthari died. We responded with justice. The Krell Queen Mind spoke through its translator. The creature looked like a massive insect, but its mind connected to billions of smaller Krell across the galaxy. Its voice was cold and mechanical. Lies. The Zenthari entered our breeding grounds. They destroyed 3 hive worlds. 6 trillion Krell children died before they could think their first thoughts. We defended ourselves. Ambassador Kelthrin raised his hand. This is not about who started the current battle. This war has lasted 700,000 years. Neither of you remember how it truly began. We ask for peace. We beg for peace. The galaxy is dying. The Zenthari representative pulsed with angry red light. We will have peace when the Krell are dust. The Krell Queen Mind clicked its mandibles. We will have peace when the Zenthari are darkness. In the back of the chamber, the human delegation sat quietly. There were only 3 of them. Earth was new to galactic politics. Humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 70 years ago. They had only joined the Galactic Council 20 years ago. The human ambassador was a woman named Sarah Chen. She was 52 years old. She had gray hair and tired eyes. She had been attending these peace talks for 5 years. She had seen nothing change. Next to her sat Admiral Marcus Webb, commander of Earth's Deep Space Fleet. He was a military man, but he hated war. He had fought in Earth's last major conflict 30 years ago. He thought humanity had learned its lesson. Then he came to the stars and found this. The third human was Dr. James Park, a xenopsychologist. He studied alien minds. He had spent 3 years analyzing the Zenthari-Krell War. His conclusion was simple. Both sides were trapped. They could not remember peace. They did not know how to stop fighting. On the holographic display, another star system died. The display showed the star going dark as millions of ships drained its energy to power their weapons. 3 inhabited planets froze instantly. 40 billion lives ended. Sarah Chen stood up. Her chair scraped against the floor. In the huge chamber, the sound was very loud. Honored members, she said. Humanity withdraws from these negotiations. The chamber erupted in noise. Hundreds of species began talking at once. Ambassador Kelthrin looked shocked. Ambassador Chen, please reconsider. We need every voice for peace. Sarah Chen shook her head. This is not negotiation. This is theater. We perform the same show every month and nothing changes. Meanwhile, billions die. The Zenthari representative turned toward her. Humanity is young and ignorant. You have never fought a real war you do not understand. Admiral Webb stood next to Ambassador Chen. His face was hard. We understand that you have been killing each other for 700,000 years. We understand that you have dragged thousands of innocent species into your fight. We understand that you destroyed a research station last week. 50,000 civilians died. They were not Zenthari or Krell. They were just scientists studying a nebula. The Krell Queen Mind's translator made a dismissive sound. Casualties of war. They should have chosen a side. Dr. Park stood last. He was a small man who usually spoke quietly. But now his voice carried across the chamber. You are both sick, he said. This war is not about territory or resources or ideology anymore. It is an addiction. You fight because you have forgotten how to do anything else. Your civilizations are built on war. Your economies need war. Your leaders gain power through war. You cannot stop because stopping would mean admitting that 700,000 years of death meant nothing. The chamber was silent again. No one had ever spoken to the two empires this way. Sarah Chen picked up her data pad. Admiral Webb and Dr. Park followed her toward the exit. "Where does humanity go?" Ambassador Kelthrin asked. Sarah Chen stopped at the door. She looked back at the chamber, at the Zinthari and Krell representatives, at the holographic display showing the latest massacre, at 300 species who had given up hope. "We are going to end this war," she said. Then the human delegation walked out. 10 hours later, Sarah Chen sat in her quarters on the human embassy ship. She looked at a message from Earth Command. It was short. "Operation Stardestroyer is approved. You have full authority. End this war. Whatever it takes. Godspeed." Sarah closed her eyes. She thought about her daughter back on Earth. She thought about her grandson who had just been born. She thought about all the children in the galaxy who deserve to grow up in peace. She opened her eyes and pressed the communicator button. "Admiral Webb, Dr. Park. Come to my quarters. We have work to do." Outside the window, stars shined in the darkness. Soon one of those stars would shine brighter than all the others. Soon everything would change. The 700,000-year war was about to meet humanity. And humanity had brought something special to the galaxy. Humanity had brought hope. And hope, armed with the right tools, could move mountains, or in this case, end an eternal war. The USS Stardestroyer hung in space like a sleeping giant. It was massive. 5 kilometers long, 2 kilometers wide. It did not look like a normal warship. Its hull was black, but the black seemed to move. If someone watched closely, they could see patterns shifting across the surface like oil on water. This was humanity's secret. For 50 years, Earth's best scientists and engineers had worked on this ship. They had used technologies that the galaxy had forgotten. They had invented technologies that had never existed before. Admiral Marcus Webb stood on the bridge. The room was circular, with holographic displays floating everywhere. 500 crew members worked at their stations. These were Earth's finest. Every person had volunteered. Every person knew this might be a one-way trip. "Status report," Webb said. Captain Lisa Torres, his second in command, checked her display. "All systems operational. Quantum fold drives are ready. 0-point reactors are at full power. The nano-hull is fully synchronized. Reality anchors are calibrated." Webb nodded. These words meant nothing to most galactic species. Humanity had developed these technologies in isolation, working from old theories and new discoveries. The quantum fold drives did not move the ship through space. They moved space around the ship. Normal ships took 3 months to cross 40,000 light-years. The Star Destroyer could do it in 6 hours. The 0-point reactors pulled energy from the quantum vacuum itself. They produced more power than some stars. The ship could run forever without fuel. The nano-hull was made of billions of microscopic machines. Each machine could repair itself. They could learn. They could adapt. If something hit the hull, the nanomachine studied the impact and changed to resist it better. The hull got stronger every time someone attacked it. The reality anchors were the strangest technology. They manipulated the fundamental forces of the universe. They could change gravity. They could strengthen or weaken atomic bonds. They could even affect time and space itself. Dr. Sarah Park, the head scientist, stood next to Webb. She was the sister of Dr. James Park from the embassy. She had helped design every system on this ship. "Admiral, I need to remind you about the cost," she said quietly. Webb sighed. "I know, Doctor. I have not forgotten. The cost was biological. The ship's systems were partially connected to the crew's nervous systems. This allowed for faster reactions and better control. But it had a side effect. When the ship used its combat systems, the crew aged. 1 minute of full combat aged them 1 year. The crew knew this. They had all signed the consent forms. They had all said goodbye to their families. 50 minutes of combat, Webb said. If we can end this war in 50 minutes, we all age 50 years. That is the price we pay. Dr. Park touched his shoulder gently. It is a price we pay willingly. What is 50 years compared to 700,000 years of death? Webb smiled. You sound like your brother. James always was the smart one in the family, she said. At the navigation station, Lieutenant Commander Omar Hassan called out. Coordinates locked. 40,000 light-years to the war zone. Ready for quantum fold jump on your command. Webb sat in the captain's chair. He took a deep breath. Ambassador Chen sends her regards, he said to the crew. She wanted to be here, but someone needs to manage the diplomatic fallout. So she asked me to tell you all something. She said that humanity has a gift. We can look at an impossible problem and say, let us try anyway. Today we try. Today we end a war that has lasted longer than our species has existed. The crew was silent. Then one by one they stood at their stations. It was a gesture of respect and solidarity. Webb felt proud. These people were the best of humanity. Lieutenant Hassan, engage quantum fold drive. Take us to the war zone. Yes, sir. Engaging in 3, 2, 1. The ship did not lurch or shake. Space itself simply changed around it. Through the viewports, the stars stretched into long lines of light. Then the lines became ribbons. Then the ribbons became a river of pure color. 6 hours passed. The crew worked. They checked systems. They ran simulations. They prepared. Dr. Park's team spent the time analyzing 700,000 years of war data. The Star Destroyer's artificial intelligence was the most advanced ever built. It could process information faster than any organic mind. In 6 hours, it reviewed every major battle, every peace attempt, every strategy that both empires had tried. The AI's conclusion appeared on the main display. Analysis complete, the AI's calm voice announced. The Xanthari-Krell war continues not because of resources, territory, or ideology. Primary factors: cultural momentum, economic dependence on military production, political power structures requiring external threat, and generational trauma creating revenge cycles. Recommendation: demonstrate overwhelming superiority to break established patterns. Force both empires to confront their assumptions simultaneously. In other words, Captain Torres said, show them something so shocking that they have to stop and think. Exactly, Dr. Park confirmed. Both empires believe they are the strongest power in the galaxy. Both empires believe their enemies are evil. Both empires believe there is no alternative to war. We need to prove all 3 beliefs wrong at the same time. Webb studied the tactical display. 14,000 warships were converging on a system called Nexus Prime. It was a strategic location. Both empires wanted it. Another massacre was about to happen. That is where we make our entrance, Webb decided. The ship dropped out of quantum fold. The war zone appeared on the viewports. Entire sectors of space glowed red with weapons fire. Dead ships floated everywhere. Some were centuries old. Some had died seconds ago. Open all communication channels, Webb ordered. Every frequency. Every language. Maximum power. I want both empires to hear this. The communication officer nodded. Channels open, sir, Webb stood. He looked at his crew. They looked back at him with determination. This is Admiral Marcus Webb of the United Earth ship Stardestroyer. We are transmitting on all frequencies to the Xanthari Collective and the Krell Dominion. Your war has lasted 700,000 years. It ends now. This is not a request. This is not a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. Stand down, or we will make you stand down. On the tactical display, 14,000 warships changed course. They all turned toward the Star Destroyer. Captain Torres checked her sensors. Sir, both fleets are targeting us. They are charging weapons, Webb sat back down. Then let us show them what humanity brought to this galaxy. All hands, battle stations. Engage defensive systems. Remember, we are not here to destroy them. We are here to stop them. The Star Destroyer's hull began to glow. The nanomachines activated. The reality anchors powered up. The ship was ready. The 700,000-year war was about to meet its end. The battle began at exactly 14 near Galactic Standard Time. 7,000 Xanthari ships fired first. Their weapons were beams of pure energy that could cut through planets. The beams hit the Star Destroyer from every direction. The human ship should have exploded instantly. Instead, the hull glowed brighter. The nanomachines absorbed every joule of energy. The zero-point reactors converted the attack into power. The ship's energy reserves increased. Shields at 150%, Captain Torres reported. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were wide. They are charging us up. 7,000 Krell ships fired next. Their weapons were different. They used concentrated matter streams, projectiles that traveled at near light speed, and biological weapons that ate through metal. The nano-hull adapted instantly. The machines changed their structure. The projectiles bounced off. The biological weapons died before touching the hull. The matter streams dispersed harmlessly. Hull integrity at 100%, Dr. Park announced. The nanomachines are learning faster than predicted. Each attack makes us stronger. Admiral Webb watched the tactical display. 14,000 ships surrounded them. Each ship was massive. Each ship had weapons that could destroy moons. Together they had enough firepower to crack a planet in half. They could not scratch the Stardestroyer. Activate protocol mirror, Webb ordered. Lieutenant Hassan's fingers moved across his controls. Protocol mirror activated. Defensive reflection online. The Stardestroyer did something impossible. Every weapon that hit it was analyzed instantly. The ship's reality anchors manipulated space itself. The weapons reflected back toward their sources, but they were twice as powerful now. A Xanthari dreadnought fired a massive energy lance. The lance hit the Stardestroyer and bounced back. The reflected lance struck the dreadnought with double force. The massive ship's shields failed. Its hull cracked open. Atmosphere vented into space. The dreadnought did not explode. The crew survived. But the ship was disabled. We are not killing them, Webb said to his crew. Remember that. We disable. We do not destroy. All around the battlefield, the same thing happened. Ships fired. Their weapons reflected back. Ships went dark, disabled but intact. The Xanthari commander, a being of pure energy named Kothvara, watched from its flagship. For the first time in its 3,000-year life, it felt something new. Fear. What is this ship? Kothvara demanded. Our weapons feed it. Our strongest attacks cannot harm it. What are these humans? The Krell Queen mind watched from its hive ship. Its billion-part consciousness struggled to understand. The Krell had fought for 700,000 years. They had faced every weapon imaginable. This was beyond imagination. All ships knew strategy, the Queen Mind commanded. Ignore the human ship. Continue primary objectives. Destroy Xanthari vessels, but the Xanthari had the same idea. All ships ignore the humans. Focus on Krell targets. For 5 minutes, the two fleets tried to fight each other while ignoring the Stardestroyer. It did not work. Every shot that passed near the human ship was caught by its reality anchors and redirected. Missiles changed course mid-flight. Energy beams bent like light through a lens. The Stardestroyer became a shield protecting both fleets from each other. Neither side could land an effective blow. Sir, they are getting frustrated, Captain Torres observed. Some ships are ramming each other. Webb frowned. Time for the next demonstration. Charge the reality collapse defense. Dr. Park looked worried. Admiral, that system is experimental. We have only tested it in simulation. Then today it gets a real test, Webb said. The Xanthari are preparing their ultimate weapon. I can see the energy signature building. On the tactical display, a Xanthari superweapon platform powered up. It was a massive sphere, 3 kilometers across. Energy crackled around it. That is a reality collapse bomb, Dr. Park said quietly. They use it to destroy entire sectors of space. Everything within 10 light years will cease to exist. Us, them, everything. They are desperate, Webb said. They would rather destroy themselves than let us stop their war. The reality collapse bomb launched. It was not fast. It did not need to be fast. It just needed to reach the target zone and detonate. Then everything would end. The Stardestroyer's reality anchors activated at full power. Space itself became solid around the ship. The bomb entered the zone and detonated. Reality tried to collapse. The fundamental forces of the universe tried to tear themselves apart. For a microsecond, the space around the Stardestroyer existed in a state that physics said was impossible. Then the reality anchors stabilized everything. The collapse wave froze. The ship's systems analyzed it, understood it, and reversed it. The bomb's energy dissipated into harmless radiation. The Stardestroyer remained untouched. The crews of 14,000 ships stared in disbelief. Status report, Webb ordered. All systems normal, Captain Torres said. Reality anchors performed perfectly. Hull integrity at 100%. The crew experienced minor temporal displacement, but everyone is fine. Webb stood and walked to the communication console. Open a channel to both fleets, visual and audio. His image appeared on the view screens of every ship in both fleets. He looked tired but determined. Commanders of the Xanthari and Krell fleets, you have now seen 3 things. First, you cannot hurt us. Your weapons only make us stronger. Second, we can turn your attacks against you without trying. Third, Your ultimate weapons are useless against us. He paused to let that sink in. We have been fighting for 15 minutes. You have learned that conventional warfare is meaningless against us. You have 35 minutes to learn something much more important. You need to learn why you should stop trying to hurt us. More importantly, you need to learn why you should stop trying to hurt each other. Webb gestured to someone off screen. Dr. Park appeared next to him. This is Dr. Sarah Park, our chief scientist. She has studied your war for 3 years. She has some things to show you. Things you have forgotten. Things you never knew. Watch carefully. Your future depends on it. The transmission changed. Historical data began streaming to both fleets. 700,000 years of war, but not the version either empire taught their children. This was the true history, compiled from thousands of sources verified by AI analysis. This was the story of how the war really started, and it was nothing like what either empire believed. Dr. Sarah Park stood on the Stardestroyer's bridge preparing to show 2 ancient empires the truth they had forgotten. Behind her, technicians worked at their stations streaming data to 14,000 warships. Beginning historical reconstruction, Dr. Park announced, 700,000 years ago. The Xanthari-Krell first contact. The holographic display changed. It showed a mining station orbiting a gas giant. Xanthari workers floated through the facility, harvesting rare elements from the planet's atmosphere. They had been there for 50 years. It was a peaceful operation. Then a Krell scout ship arrived. The Krell were exploring new territories. They saw the mining station and scanned it. The scan was routine, not aggressive. But the scan used quantum resonance frequencies. The Xanthari could not understand these frequencies. To the Xanthari, the scan looked like a weapons lock. The Xanthari station sent a warning. Unknown vessel, you are targeting us with hostile sensors. Power down or we will defend ourselves. The Krell could not understand the Xanthari language properly. Their translation systems were new. The warning came through as, unknown vessel, you are trespassing in our sacred space. Leave or be destroyed. The Krell scout captain made a decision. She thought she was being threatened for entering empty space. She powered up defensive shields. The Xanthari saw the shields activate. They interpreted this as preparation for attack. They fired a warning shot. The warning shot missed the Krell ship by 300 kilometers. It was clearly meant as a warning. But the Krell scout ship was small. The warning shot's energy wave still rattled the ship. 2 Krell crew members were injured by falling equipment. The Krell scout captain, frightened and confused, sent a distress call. Under attack by unknown hostile species. Requesting immediate assistance. Both empires sent military ships to investigate. Neither side understood what the other was saying. Both sides were scared. Both sides thought they were defending themselves. A small skirmish happened. 10 ships per side. 47 Xanthari died. 63 Krell died. It was a tragedy. It was also an accident, but then politics got involved. Dr. Park's reconstruction showed what happened next. Xanthari leaders used the incident to consolidate power. Look at these aggressive aliens, they told their people. We must be strong to protect ourselves. Krell leaders did the same thing. These energy beings attacked our scout ship unprovoked. We must be ready for war. Both sides built more military ships. Both sides prepared for a second encounter. Both sides were certain the other side was evil. When they met again, 6 months later, they were ready for war. And so they went to war. That is how it started, Dr. Park said. A misunderstanding. A translation error. 2 frightened scout crews. And then pride. Both sides were too proud to admit the whole thing was a mistake. Admiral Webb watched the tactical displays. Ships from both fleets were going dark. Not from damage, but because their crews had stopped working. They were watching the historical reconstruction. 700,000 years of propaganda was crumbling in real time. Continue, Doctor, Webb said. Dr. Park showed them more. For the first 1,000 years, both empires tried to make peace several times. But each time, hardliners on both sides sabotaged the talks. Leaders who built their power on war could not survive peace. Generals who commanded vast fleets would lose their status. Weapons manufacturers who made fortunes would go bankrupt. The reconstruction showed assassination attempts. Xanthari peace advocates killed by their own people. Krell diplomats executed as traitors. Each act of violence pushed the empires further apart. After 10,000 years, Dr. Park continued, neither empire could remember why they hated each other. But they knew they did hate. It became cultural. Xanthari children learned that Krell were monsters. Krell larvae learned that Xanthari were demons. Hate became identity. She showed them schools, Xanthari classrooms where young energy beings learned battle tactics before they learned art. Krell hatcheries where larvae were conditioned for combat before they learned to speak. After 100,000 years, your economies became completely dependent on war. Xanthari industry exists to build weapons. Krell hive structures exist to produce soldiers. Neither of you knows how to exist peacefully anymore. Images flashed across the displays. Xanthari factory complexes stretching across entire planets. Krell breeding worlds producing trillions of warriors. Both societies had become machines that only knew how to make war. And now, after 700,000 years, you have both forgotten something crucial, Dr. Park said. Her voice became softer. You have forgotten that you are not that different from each other. The holographic display changed again. It split into two images. On one side, a Xanthari parent teaching a child about the colors of a nebula. On the other side, a Krell parent teaching its offspring about the patterns of stars. More images appeared. Xanthari artists creating sculptures from solidified energy. Krell composers arranging pheromone symphonies. Scientists from both species discovering the same mathematical truths. Philosophers from both sides wondering about the nature of existence. You both love beauty, Dr. Park said. You both create art. You both seek knowledge. You both care for your children. You both wonder about your place in the universe. You are both intelligent, emotional, creative species, and you have wasted 700,000 years trying to destroy each other over a mistake that happened so long ago that nobody even remembers it correctly. Silence filled the communication channels. 14,000 ships hung in space, their crews processing what they had just learned. Then Admiral Webb spoke. We are now 20 minutes into this encounter. We have shown you that you cannot defeat us with force. We have shown you the truth about your war. Now we will show you what we can do if you do not choose peace. The Stardestroyer systems activated again, but this time it was not defensive. Initiating temporal demonstration, Captain Torres announced. The reality anchors created a bubble of altered time around one of the Xanthari flagships. Inside the bubble, time ran backwards. The crew watched their own ship age in reverse, then watched it get hit by a simulated weapon, then watched it explode in a simulated battle. Then time ran forward again. The ship was back to normal, undamaged, but every person on that ship had just experienced their own death. That was a simulation, Webb said calmly. We can manipulate time itself. We can erase you from history. We can make it so you never existed. We will not do this, but we want you to understand what you are facing. He paused. You have 15 minutes to make a choice. End this war, or discover what happens when a species that controls time and space loses its patience. The countdown had begun. 15 minutes remained. 14,000 ships hung in space, their commanders facing an impossible decision. Inside the Xanthari flagship, Commander Kothvara gathered its council. These were beings of pure energy, each thousands of years old. They had known nothing but war their entire existence. These humans speak the truth, one council member said, the energy being pulsed with confused colors. I felt the temporal displacement. They can erase us. They showed us our history, another said. The war started with a mistake. Everything we believe is wrong. But if we admit that, Kothvara said quietly, what are we? Our entire civilization is built on this war. Our purpose, our identity, our meaning. If the war ends, who are we? In the Krell hive ship, the Queen Mind was having a similar crisis. Its billion-part consciousness was arguing with itself. Some parts wanted peace. Some parts wanted to fight until death. The Queen Mind was, for the first time in its existence, truly divided. We cannot trust these humans, some of its components insisted. This is a trick. They want us to lower our guard. But they could have destroyed us already, other components argued. They have shown mercy. They disabled our ships but killed no one. They gave us truth instead of propaganda. The Queen Mind thought about the historical data. The first contact incident, the translation error, the accident that became a war. 700,000 years of death because nobody wanted to admit a mistake. On the Star Destroyer's bridge, Admiral Webb watched the timer count down. 10 minutes remained. Sir, detecting movement in both fleets, Captain Torres reported. Some ships are breaking formation. Which direction? Webb asked. Toward us, sir. But they are not charging weapons, I think they are trying to surrender. How many? Approximately 400 ships. Mixed Xanthari and Krell, they are broadcasting peace signals. Dr. Park smiled. The younger crews. Soldiers who never chose this war. They are taking the chance we gave them. But not everyone was happy about the peace signals. On both sides, hardline commanders were furious. A Xanthari battle group of 600 ships suddenly opened fire on the ships trying to surrender. They believed these ships were traitors. No, Webb said sharply. We did not come here to watch them kill each other. Activate the Sanctuary Protocol. Lieutenant Hassan's fingers flew across his controls. Sanctuary Protocol engaging. The Star Destroyer's reality anchors created thousands of small dimensional portals. Every crew member on the 600 attacking ships suddenly found themselves teleported into safe zones aboard their own vessels. They were unharmed, but they could not reach their weapons or engines. Then the Star Destroyer's nanosystems activated. Microscopic machines flew through space faster than bullets. They reached the 600 attacking ships and began to dismantle them, but they did not explode. They did not burn. They simply came apart atom by atom in perfect order. Within 60 seconds, 600 massive warships had been reduced to their component atoms. The atoms arranged themselves in space, forming letters that spelled the same message in both Xanthari and Krell languages. Enough. The message was 10 kilometers tall. It blazed with light from the ionized atoms. Every ship in both fleets could read it. 5 minutes, Webb announced on all channels. You have 5 minutes to signal peace. After that, we will remove your capacity to wage war. We will not harm your people. But we will dismantle every weapon, every warship, every military installation you possess. You will be defenseless in a galaxy that remembers what you have done. He stood and walked to the front of the bridge. I know you are afraid. I know that peace seems impossible after so long. But I also know that you are tired. I know that every one of you has lost friends, family, entire worlds. I know that deep down, beneath the propaganda and the hate and the fear, you want this to end. His voice became softer. We did not come here as conquerors. We came as witnesses. We witnessed your suffering. We witnessed your loss. We witnessed 700,000 years of pointless death. And we decided that someone needed to say enough. Someone needed to care more about your future than your past. On the Xanthari flagship, Kothvara made a decision. Open a channel to the Krell Queen Mind. Direct channel. No intermediaries. Commander, that is forbidden by laws that no longer matter, Kothvara interrupted. Open the channel. For the first time in 700,000 years, the leader of the Xanthari spoke directly to the leader of the Krell. Queen Mind, this is Commander Kothvara. I do not know how to say this. I am sorry. I'm sorry that my ancestors started this. I am sorry that my people continued it. I am sorry for every Krell who died because we were too proud to admit we were wrong. The Queen Mind received the message. Its billion components debated for what felt like an eternity, but was only 10 seconds. Then the Queen Mind responded. Commander Kothvara, this is the Queen Mind of the Krell Dominion. We are also sorry. Our ancestors escalated the conflict. Our pride matched yours. We have killed as many as you have. We are equally responsible for this horror. Silence on the communication channels. Then Kothvara said, What do we do now? We have 3 minutes to decide, the Queen Mind said. If we signal peace, we show weakness. Our hardliners will rebel. There will be civil war within our own empires. Then let there be civil war, Kothvara said firmly. Better a short conflict within our borders than an eternal war that consumes the galaxy. The humans are right. This needs to end. 2 minutes remained. The Xanthari flagship powered down its weapons. Its shields dropped. It sent a signal on all frequencies. A simple mathematical sequence that meant peace in the universal language of numbers. 1 minute remained. The Krell hive ship hesitated. The Queen Mind's components were still arguing. Some wanted to fight to the last. Some begged for peace. 30 seconds. The Queen Mind thought about its children. Trillions of Krell larvae born into war taught to hate before they learned to think. What future did they have? More of the same? Another 700,000 years of death? 10 seconds. The Krell hive ship powered down its weapons. 5 seconds. Both empires broadcast peace signals simultaneously. The 700,000-year war ended with 3 seconds to spare. 1 month had passed since the 50-minute war ended. The galaxy was still trying to understand what had happened. A peace conference was being held on a neutral station called Haven. The station had been built specifically for this purpose. It orbited a star that neither empire claimed. Thousands of delegates from hundreds of species gathered there. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked through the station's observation deck. Through the massive windows she could see the USS Stardestroyer. The great ship remained in orbit, a silent guardian and a reminder of what humanity could do if necessary. But she hoped it would never be necessary again. Ambassador Chen, a familiar voice said. She turned to see Commander Kothvara, the Xanthari being floated in its containment sphere, its energy form cycling through calm blue colors. Commander, Sarah said with a small bow, how are the negotiations progressing? Slowly, Kothvara admitted. 700,000 years of hate does not disappear in a month. But we are talking. That is something we have not truly done in all that time. Sarah smiled. Talking is the first step. Everything else follows from that. The queen mind of the Krell approached them. It was smaller than Sarah expected. She had learned that the queen mind could adjust its physical form. For the negotiations, it had chosen a form that was less intimidating to other species. Ambassador Chen, the queen mind said through its translator, we owe humanity a debt we can never repay. Sarah shook her head. You owe us nothing. We did what we thought was right. What happens next is up to you. What happens next is hard, Kothvara said. We are discovering things about our empires that we never knew, or things we knew but ignored. Over the past month, investigations had revealed dark truths. Both empires had been infiltrated by war profiteers, individuals and corporations who made fortunes from the endless conflict. They had sabotaged peace efforts for hundreds of thousands of years. They had assassinated peace advocates. They had manipulated information to keep the war going. We found records of 63 successful peace initiatives, the Queen Mind said bitterly. 63 times over 700,000 years our peoples almost made peace. Each time profiteers sabotaged the process. They killed the peacemakers and blamed the other side. What are you doing about these profiteers? Sarah asked. They are being arrested, Kothvara said. Both of our empires are working together on this. It is strange coordinating with former enemies, but it feels right. Sarah looked out at the stars. You are also finding other things, I hear. The Queen Mind made a sound like a sigh. Yes, we found thousands of species imprisoned by both empires. Civilizations that refused to join the war were labeled as threats and locked away. We are freeing them now. They are angry. We do not blame them. We also found hidden worlds, Kothvara added, entire civilizations that fled the war millions of years ago. They hid themselves so well that we never found them. Now they are emerging. The galaxy is more crowded than we knew. More complex too, Sarah said. But complexity is good. Complexity means options. Options mean freedom. They stood in silence for a moment watching the Star Destroyer. Sarah thought about its crew. 500 people who had aged 50 years and 50 minutes to end this war. They were heroes, but they had paid a terrible price. Admiral Webb was now over 100 years old biologically, though only weeks had passed in real time. The crew had been given extensive medical treatment. Human technology could extend life, but it could not give them back the years they had sacrificed. Webb had said it was worth it. Every member of the crew agreed. But Sarah still felt guilty about the cost they had paid. Ambassador, we have a question, the Queen Mind said, breaking the silence. The Galactic Council wants to give humanity a leadership position. You have the most powerful ship in the galaxy. You have the moral authority of ending the war. They want you to lead. Sarah had expected this, and humanity's answer is no. Both aliens seemed surprised. But why? Kothvara asked. You have earned the right to lead. We did not earn anything, Sarah said firmly. We did what needed to be done. But we are still young. We are still learning. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want to explore it. We want to learn from it. We want to help when we can, but we do not want power over others. She turned to face them fully. Besides, the galaxy does not need human leaders. It needs you. Both of you. You are ancient civilizations with vast knowledge and resources. Now that you are not spending everything on war, imagine what you can do. Imagine what you can build together. 10 years later, Sarah Chen stood in a park on a reclaimed world. This planet had been a battlefield for 50,000 years. Every centimeter of its surface had been scorched by weapons. Nothing had lived here for millennia. Now it was a garden. Xanthari and Krell had worked together to restore it. They had cleaned the soil, replanted forests, and brought back oceans. It had taken 10 years, but the planet lived again. Sarah watched 3 children playing near a fountain. One was human, about 8 years old. One was a young Xanthari, its energy form contained in a small learning sphere. One was a Krell juvenile, its carapace still soft and pale. They were playing a game, chasing each other, laughing. They did not care about old wars. They did not know hate. They were the first generation in 700,000 years to grow up in peace. "Beautiful, is it not?" a voice said. Sarah turned to see Admiral Webb. He looked old now, his hair completely white, his face lined with wrinkles, but his eyes were still sharp. "Marcus," Sarah said warmly, "you should be resting." "I have rested enough," he said. "I wanted to see this. The park, the children, the future we bought with 50 minutes of our lives." They sat on a bench together, 2 old friends watching the future play. "Do you regret it?" Sarah asked quietly. Webb watched the 3 children. "Regret sacrificing 50 years to end a 700,000-year war? Regret giving these children a chance at peace?" He smiled. "Not even for a second." Above them, the sky was blue and clear. Ships from 100 species flew through the atmosphere, trading and exploring and living. The galaxy had not become perfect. There were still conflicts, still problems, still challenges, but the endless war was over, and that made everything possible. On the bench, Sarah and Marcus sat in comfortable silence. Around them, the park bustled with life. Above them, the USS Stardestroyer remained in orbit, now a museum, a memorial.